Hey everyone, let's talk about how to navigate a spiritual awakening. And I have a little bit of notes written in front of me. That's because I don't want to ramble on and I really don't like editing. So here we go. First of all, I do want to not use the term spiritual awakening because that implies a before and after, and this after might be something magical, and after your spiritual awakening you might cease to be a human being somewhat and be this magical, flawless creature, and that is simply not the case. You're still going to be a very flawed human being. Life is still going to happen. Life is still going to life. It's not like you're going to breeze through life. So let's change the word or the term spiritual awakening to just a spiritual time period, right? Like a really difficult or spiritual time period in your life. The first thing to understand about it is that you're most likely going through this spiritual time period because there are changes to be made in your life. And the sooner you can get honest with yourself about that and start looking at the changes that you need to make in your life, the better this experience is going to be, the less friction there's going to be, right? If you can imagine this spiritual time period like a force, right? It's a force coming into your life wanting to take you a certain direction because it's good for you, but you're fighting it, and that is creating so much friction that you're spending a lot of mental energy, time battling that force that is trying to take you in the right direction. And so I think the sooner you get honest with yourself about what are the changes that you need to make in your life, the easier the road is going to get. I'm not going to say that it's going to be the easiest. Even when you do focus on the changes that you need to make and you try to make those changes, it's still going to get difficult. But it's going to be a lot less difficult than it would be if you were to fight it. Just saying. It might be easier to try to wait out the storm, right? And yeah, that's possible. That's possible. The time period that you're going through, whether you call it spiritual awakening, a spiritual time period in your life, a difficult time period in your life, that's going to go away at one point. It's going to significantly get better or change regardless of whether or not you do something about it, right? It's like, think about weathering out a storm, right? There is a storm outside. You can choose to stay sheltered and not think about the storm, not pay attention to the storm, and just stay sheltered until the storm passes. And certain things in life, certain experiences in life are like that. You can weather out the storm. But you have to ask yourself, if you do try to weather out the storm, are you really going to reap the maximum benefit out of this experience? And now, mind you, this is easier said than done, right? Like when you're going through this, the instinct is going to want to weather out the storm because it's difficult. Sometimes you don't know if you can handle this experience. Sometimes it physically feels like you can't handle the experience, right? And it's okay to take it slow. It's okay to go day by day. But ultimately, you have to understand that this storm, this force, this time period is here in your life for a reason. it's not here to derail you for no reason. It's not here to upset you for no reason. It's not here to punish you. It's not here because you karmically did something wrong in your past life and here you are paying for it. It's here to simply put you in the direction of where you need to be. Simple as that. And so, as difficult as it might be, try to really understand what is it that this experience wants you to learn, and go in that direction. And also try to understand what you're going through a lot of different perspectives. There are different perspectives through which you can understand what you're going through. There's a spiritual perspective, right? Like calling it a spiritual awakening and understanding through that lens. There's astrology. You can understand what time period you're going through in your life and make sense of what is it that you are meant to learn. For me, initially, I understood what I was going through through astrology. I turned to astrology. It was the first thing that came up, and it really helped me understand what I was going through. And for a lot of you, if you're watching this, if you're following me from the very beginning, if you've subscribed to my YouTube from the very beginning, it might be because of the spirituality videos that I made, the astrology spirituality videos that I made regarding Ketu time period. And that was the time period that I was going through in astrology that brought out a lot of changes in my life. And because of astrology, I was able to understand what is it that I was going through. And that really helped me. Eventually, I wanted to understand it from a different perspective. I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to learn more. And I knew that astrology, as much as it helped me, wasn't my path to learn, right? It helped me understand things about myself, but I knew that becoming an astrologer wasn't really for me. I have so much respect for the field, because astrology was something that initially helped me understand what I was going through. I have so much respect for the field, and I'm like a dabbler. I love astrology. I love wanting to understand myself, but I knew that even though I wanted to go deeper to understand this, I knew that becoming an astrologer just wasn't my path. Right? We're not talking about better or worse here. We're just talking about what the right path is for you. For me, I knew I wanted to psychologically understand what I was going through. And that's exactly what I did. I ended up going to graduate school to study psychology, and I became a therapist thanks to this spiritual time period that I went through in my life. Now, if you were to ask me 5 years ago or if you were to tell me 5 years ago that I would go study psychology and become a therapist, literally, no pun intended, but I think I would look at you like you were crazy, because that was not my path. That was not my trajectory at all. I was very happy doing what I was doing. I was very happy being a creative person, a very untethered creative person, acting, writing, social media. I loved all of it. And it was okay up until a certain time period. And I just needed to make some changes. That wasn't my path anymore. The path that I was walking up until then was not my path anymore. And that's why I went through the spiritual experience, so I could go on a different path, so I could go on a new path. Sorry, my notes just disappeared. Okay, here we are. And the last thing that you want to do is seek community. And what do I mean by this? When I say seek community, I don't necessarily mean go out and make friends, go socialize, go talk to people, because I understand when you're going through a spiritual period in your life, the last thing that you want to do is socialize. And isolation might even be beneficial, because spending time with yourself, by yourself, could be beneficial. But what I mean by seek community is share what you're going through with the intention of helping. It will heal you. I think it was a year into my spiritual time period that I started making YouTube videos. I had no intention of doing it. I really had no intention of putting myself out there like that, because I was somebody who really cared about perception, right? And I really didn't care to share my struggles. I didn't really care to let people know about what I was struggling with. I wanted a certain perception of myself, and that's just what I did, right? So I really had no intention of putting it on YouTube or talking about my spiritual awakening or spiritual time period that I was going through. But I was led in that direction. And I say I was led in that direction because I myself really had no intention of doing it. And I think if it was up to me then, I wouldn't have done it. But it was almost as if I needed it. I needed it to heal. And let me tell you, it was a very healing experience. The minute I picked up my phone and I started talking about what I was going through with the intention of helping, mind you, not with the intention of whining or just airing my baggage or airing dirty laundry or whatever, but with the intention of helping, as in if someone listens to this and kind of understands like how I'm conceptualizing it, right, that might help them. That might help them shift their perspective. And by that point, I had started understanding that perspective in life is everything. How you look at something is everything. And so my intention was that if I get on YouTube and start sharing my perspective, how I'm conceptualizing it, what I think about it, right? Not necessarily what's right for you, but how I'm navigating this. Somebody might listen and that might help them shift their perspective. And that's exactly what I did. And you know what? I don't know if I truly helped anybody shift their perspective or not, but I know for a fact that I healed myself by doing that. I healed myself because I was no longer this person who cared so much about being perceived a certain way. If you look at my Instagram before this period, it was all perfection, the way I knew how to show perfection, if that makes any sense. I'm not saying that I was perfect or that what I was doing was perfect. I'm saying my intention was to be perceived a certain way. And after my experience of sharing my struggles, how I was conceptualizing it, how I was understanding it, I think it completely became a different person. I think that act of picking up my phone and really being my authentic self and sharing really changed me as a person, to the point where perception really doesn't matter to me anymore. What someone else thinks of me I could care less. My entire life is not designed around being perceived a certain way by people. My life is now designed around experiencing this life to the best of my ability, experiencing this life as my authentic self to the best of my ability. So if you're going through something, share your perspective. What are you learning? How are you conceptualizing it? How do you understand it? What are some of the things that are helping you? Right? And if you're a shy person, trust me, I was also a very shy person. Just get out of your your own butthole. So I'm sorry. I was gonna use a much worse word, but get out of your own head. No one cares. Nobody cares. No one's judging you. And understand that your experiences, your difficulties, your happiness, your sadness, it's not just yours alone. It's not just yours alone. Your experience in life is not yours alone. You don't get to keep it. You don't get to guard it. You don't get to not share it with people. Now, of course, you have free will, and you do have autonomy, so you choose. But as spiritual beings, I think that our experiences in life are everybody's, not just ours. It is extremely healing to share what you're going through with the intention of helping your fellow human beings. Our happiness, our sadness, our joy, our sorrow in life is not just ours alone. It belongs to everybody. We don't live in a vacuum. We don't live in a vacuum where this life is just ours alone. All right, well, this once again was unscripted. I wrote some notes, but I didn't really know what exactly I was going to say or what exactly I was going to keep. But I hope this is beneficial. Just to recap, in case you didn't listen to anything that I said, just to recap, when you're going through a difficult period in your life, or a spiritual awakening, or a spiritual time period in your life that you're having difficult navigating, just know that there are changes to be made. Just know that it's there for a reason. You're going through this time period for a reason. And focus on those changes. Focus on what changes you need to make in your life. And also understand what you're going through different perspectives. A lot of different perspectives. I just named two. I just named psychology and astrology and spirituality. Those were the mediums that I used. There are so many other ways. There are so many different fields that you can utilize. And lastly, get over your shyness. Get over your shyness, judgment, fear of judgment, and of course don't do anything that really is not beneficial for you or makes you really uncomfortable. You don't have to share, right? You don't have to share. But if you do, it just might be beneficial for you and for others. All right, thank you.